from that perspective, we have a relatively small number of bugs, which is, they counted 4. I argue that it might be somewhere around 7 or 8. But anyway.
I argue you had at least as many bugs as you had features. That's the definition difference. But what is important is that why is the need? What is it in our mind that makes us want to have that distinction? What,
do I
feel bad if there are more bugs?
To explain, the thing is, we want to measure the quality. So, and this is to say, a new feature is not a lack of quality. A bug is something that had something to do with quality. So I think this is the core thing why we want to count them.
I would say that
we understand that, and it is actually quite traditional to make that distinction. Vasco's voice needs to be listened to because it's actually where we need to go beyond where we are today is to improve our relationships with our clients or with the users, and that is to not make that distinction, but to actually strive to making it better. We understand that this is traditional. I have done that. I like that this is an invitation to think differently.
Yeah. For me, that's the next point. Yeah. I want to measure. It's a metric. That's a question why I need it.
Agreed.
So,
the only thing I find important is what do we have to do next, and what is the next most important thing that we have to do next. If it's a defect or a feature, I mean, I don't care. If it's important, then let's do it.
Yay! Agreed.
And the other thing is that we did have 2 different post-its, right? We had pink for defects and yellow for features, right? But very often it would go up as a pink, and then I would rewrite it as yellow, because we just talk about it, and it would go as yellow. And so our arbitrary decisions were often based on inadequate understanding, but when it came to actually implementing,
and sometimes it was what was the next thing I get. I have to write down. Okay, want to write it down.
Yeah.
Just one thing I would like to add, because I was thinking why we are making this type of distinction. So actually, if you think about it, and if you think about drive, you need to have a sense of mastery. So from that point of view, if you have, after 3 days, 30 bugs, maybe you're a crappy developer or something like that. But when you do it and you got 4, you say, oh, okay, so I did great. So this might be one of the psychological needs for doing that, just that. Absolutely. You need to feel a master of your craft.
One way to satisfy that need, but yet talk about what we have done versus what needs to be done, would be to come up with another name, right?
That's basically measuring customer satisfaction.
For example, that would be.
Okay, so maybe a quality criteria that we were worrying about is, are people using it, and is it useful? Yeah. Right? And at some fundamental level, that's what we cared about.
Yes.
Okay, and then there I can add another number. So apart from the tester session that we've had earlier, we've had 18 commenters.
18.
Yes.
18 people
Posted a comment.
adding a comment
on a session. Yeah.
Before Marco's session.
Yes, in there it was like a test.
You set up the timestamp during your sessions. When were the comments delivered?
Yesterday.
During sessions, during open space sessions.
Okay, during the afternoon. So 18 people from yesterday afternoon to now. The feature. When
Yesterday in the afternoon.
Was it before lunch?
No, the comments.
Anyway, it means that in less than a day, 18 people commented.
Yes.
How many are we? Like 100. It's already 10%. More than 10%. It's 18%, let's say.
Yeah.
Which is already pretty good, right?
In one day, yeah.
In one day. It's a good conversion.
So
It's a vanity metric.
The first time we've had like a massive usage was during the keynote yesterday morning when 3 people added comments.
Because the new URL was announced right then, and people knew where to go. That's what happened. What do you want to achieve from this session?
Yeah, so I want to. Another number?
And we have the last number, the number of features. we've got 9 features, which are actually 7 programming features and 2 static pages.
Yeah, I would be interested in what you presented at the beginning is what agile practices we finally practiced and the one we forgot. That would be interesting to have this feedback.
So just very quickly, well, we did continuous integration and we did continuous delivery.
And we did pair programming.
And we did pair programming.
Yeah. Would you use a flip chart?
And you're doing the retrospective one.
Yeah, and they did retrospective also.
You already read?
Made stand-ups?
Stand-ups.
Yeah, let's...
Okay, so it's pair programming, continuous delivery, continuous integration, retrospectives, stand-ups,
The planning
Visualizing board.
Yeah.
visualizing board.
Information.
Wait. Stand-ups.
We need a faster pen.
Stand-ups,
We need a faster
retrospectives.
pen.
We did TDD for like...
What did you say?
I've continued on it, but
Visualization. What else?
yeah, TDD, you can...
Some people did TDD.
Planning game.
We did have one demo, which I did yesterday
We had a demo.
for the customers. Other than the demos we did for people coming in.
And you
Because
collected feedback.
We collected feedback. And we involved our customers.
And then we've had something that's not necessarily agile. It was a pivot, or several pivots from the lead startup.
Yeah. Beer-induced pivots. Definitely had a few beer-induced pivots.
Did you have hypotheses for your pivots?
No, they didn't measure anything. In terms of
They weren't scientific.
user engagement, there was no measure for
So
user engagement.
you were guessing.
Yes.
We certainly didn't do cohort analysis or something like that, you know.
No, but we didn't even have one single metric.
No,
It was a feeling.
We said,
Do we feel people are
we said,
engaged?
no, we
Metrics.
said, the one that I mentioned, we said that if we go in the direction of having comments per sessions and then adding the feed, we can see how many real-time engagements, something like that.
Yeah, but we didn't measure it.
Yeah, we did. So that's why I'm saying it wasn't scientific, but it was. But we did think about it. We just didn't go in depth.
Yes.
You don't have a number of pages with them.
No.
All this was done
We have
during
that
these 3 days.
Yes.
Was anything, because of its cost or the time delay, done before? Like setting up the Jenkins or...
Yeah, this was prepared.
Yeah. That's why they were able to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Sorry. What was the starting point? And the question goes two ways. Technically and both in terms of people. Who of you knew each other beforehand? And how we allowed for this to also happen?
Basically,
He missed your beginning.
the 3 of us did the preparation.
You three? Yes.
and
The infrastructure was set up. We had a very basic version of the app with the schedule. We had a walking skeleton, let's say. So basic infrastructure, Eclipse project, GitHub repository, and let's say one working feature to start with.
And I know them too. And I know them too.
but I only knew Mark, and our product owner, we met over a coffee just before the conference began.
Yeah, and we have some Skype calls.
Some Skype.
You did.
Mark and Adi and so.
No.
You just walked in? Yeah, you walked in.
I walked in.
How do you
Would you say this previous step is necessary for a 3-day conference?
Yeah.
Completely compulsory.
Because even in this context, getting people to start was like an hour or 2 hours, something like
Well,
that.
you have to provide a context first, right? Otherwise, it's just going to be long discussions about what technology. We had long discussions about what technology we were going to use. And at some point, you have to choose something and do something.
As a group, we probably talked on Skype for maybe not more than 6 hours.
Yeah, 4 or 5 hours.
And you guys probably put in, what, 3 to 5, 6 days worth of effort? I don't know how long was it.
Each or five?
Total. 3 days, was it? Something like that.
Combined.
Yeah, something. 3 hours. Okay, 3 hours. Yeah, but you're 3 hours. No. But no, I mean, so it wasn't a huge amount of effort. Part of the interesting thing is that the technical architecture and development infrastructure was incredibly basic, and we deliberately made it so. And the surprising thing is we didn't need it to get any more complicated to ship all this stuff.
Yeah, so one other practice is, that we used is, what is it called?
Simple design?
Yagni.
Yeah.
Simple design.
So the simplest thing that would work?
Yeah.
Kiss.
Walking skeleton.
Yeah, walking skeleton.
Yeah, we use walking skeleton.
So Kiss, Yanni.
I'm worrying because usually it's pretty hard in the testing thing. Didn't seem to have that large amount of automated tests. You didn't seem to have many exports. Was it a problem?
Yeah, testing is for wimps.
Yeah.
But it's a very, very...
Maybe we
I think the point
This is the thing we do.
No, my question was, did you miss it? The point about testing here was that we didn't even know if that app would actually be used after the conference. So is there...
Don't go into justification, that doesn't matter. But the question that you were asking is very important. Did the team actually miss it? Did you miss the testing?
I think it was an even more important thing.
Like yesterday afternoon.
Late yesterday and yesterday during the day I started to miss it because...
So you can bootstrap without testing, but at some point
You need to we had this discussion several times if we should set up automated test environment, and we decided to not to do so because the initial overhead to set up this part of the environment was too large for these 3 days. And I would bet if we had spent this time beforehand when we were setting up the whole environment, then I think we would have used it.
Yeah, and one of the points is we were preparing was also not to introduce too much technologies. Because we could have set up something like acceptance test, but then we would have had another technology which maybe...
And I think there's even another thing. We didn't actually, the bugs we had weren't regressions. They were simply things we did not think of.
Now you're going into justification. Why is that important for you? Why is it important to say that we are actually very good?
Okay, because
the bugs were not really serious.
No, that's not the point.
No, I'm saying that there would have been no value in this context to have an automated test suite.
So your expectation is that if we had added the time to do the test-driven development or acceptance test-driven development or whatever, the value that it would have added in these 3 days would not justify the investment. Okay.
Yeah, because you come from 2 angles with testing. One is TDD, which is an evolutionary design process, and then a regression test suite, if you like, that allows you to refactor with confidence and to move forward.
I mean, it's exactly like we discussed yesterday. If we are